Hi everyone, I'm back again. Not a film review, this time a book review. And the book that I'm going to review today is The Gutter Prayer by Gareth Hanrahan. This book was recommended to me by a good friend, Jason March, and he doesn't recommend that many books. And he's a very busy guy, he generally listens to it on audio, which will be something that we'll discuss later, because I can see why that might change how you perceive the book. But this is typical fantasy, grimdark. It goes into some terrible places, but it's interesting to look at because it's had rave reviews, and I can see why it's got rave reviews, even though I've got some issues with the work. The main problem is that the work is great on about 6 levels, but then the work is quite bad on some fundamental levels. And I think it depends on how you read fantasy, because a lot of people I have friends who just basically swallow them whole. They read a book every 4 days. They're on to they've read everything. I'm a bit slower because I'm juggling all my movies and computer games. And with this work at a 500 pages, it is really slow to begin with. So we should talk about what is the actual plot. So the plot revolves around the city of Guerdon. Now, the reason why I'm saying Guerdon is a character in itself, and in fact, probably the best character maybe in the whole book. And this isn't a fluke. Gareth Hanrahan started off as a writer for role-playing games, the source books. And so he really knows how to design a world. He knows you could literally read this book and then play a game in the city of Guerdon and kind of know where to go. He is that good at laying out the geography and just how all the factions work. The other thing he's really good at is just doing a twist on different things. Like it's a bit of a steampunk alchemy kind of economy. There is magic, but it's very little. There are lots to do with gods, and gods are real. But generally, for most of the people in this book, they're right at the bottom level, and they're just scrabbling for some sort of income and profession. So into this world comes our 3 main characters, Carillon, Spar and Rat. And they're all members of the Thieves Guild, and the work begins in the middle of a heist. The heist goes wrong, and from then everything starts to fall out. Now the problem is, very quickly, within 20, 30 pages, the 3 characters are split, and then you have different points of view. Now the problem is that if you don't like any of those characters, or they're a little bit flat on the page, you're with them for a long time, just that character. And I found that the writing of the characters in the main was not inspiring at all. The best character, well, there's 2 interesting characters, but the best character is Rat, who's like a sentient ghoul. And the reason why I think I like him is he's very much a Lovecraftian kind of ghoul. So there's a whole plot where the undercity of Guerdon is full of ghouls and undead, and they've kind of got this treaty and, not to raid each other. And I found all that fantastic. That was great. Rat was my favorite character by far. But Spar, the stone man, is a thief, and he's contracted this disease, like Grayscale in Game of Thrones, and he's slowly solidifying, for want of a better word. That really makes that character hard to like. Can't really do much for very much most of the book, and I just found that hard. And then Carillon's hard to even like as well. So obviously a lot happens soon after, which I won't spoil, but if you don't really jump on board with the characters, no matter how great the world building is and the bestiary and the alchemy and everything else, you're always a bit anchored in my book. So, look, this is I think for people who love, it's like a giant D&D campaign and the guy's just written it out. And I think for people who are into that and who aren't looking for too much more, they'll really enjoy it. And this is why I'm getting back to my point. I think if you were listening to it and you're in the car and someone's telling you a story, then this would sing a little bit better because you're just getting all the highlights of the story. But when you're reading it, the dialogue just falls flat, and therefore, it's a bit of an anchor to the whole work. I guess the thing I'll say is I've read it, it's the first part of a trilogy, and it's a bit of damning with faint praise to say I'm not sure if I'd continue with the series. There's just so many great books that if I'm not 100%, and obviously the guy likes to write, so if it's going to be 500 pages each time, I think that I'm probably going to have to give it a miss. So that's The Gutter Prayer by Gareth Hanrahan. Okay. I will say just before I finish that what he does with the gods, the pantheon of gods, is really interesting because they're not like normal kind of Judeo-Christian gods where there's one good guy and all that. They're all kind of horrible and they're very Lovecraftian. And I really enjoyed that. This is getting back to it. I love, if you think of it as a recipe, I loved nearly all the things going into the cake, and then the cake wasn't that great. So, I think if you're into just that idea of inhabiting a place, this book will be for you. Now, the book I'm going to do next time is Don Winslow's The Power of the Dog. Now, I'm coming to this very late. This is the first in a storied trilogy, which has won a gazillion awards, and really the back of it is every great crime writer saying how they worship Don Winslow. Now, I read Don Winslow's The Force last year and I reviewed it and I really enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was great. I just thought it was really good. But this is the one about the Mexican drug cartels and the drug war that America got involved in with no successes at all. And I think it will be very interesting in 2019 to look at the relationship between America and Mexico. So that's next time. If you like what I'm doing, hit like, love comments. If you disagree, put it there. I love to have a chat. Subscribe, anything which gets my work out there, which would be fun. And I'm on Twitter at Guru Eden, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.